It's been nearly 80 years since hundreds of black West African soldiers who fought for France's freedom against Nazi Germany during World War II were killed in cold blood by their fellow white French officers in Senegal in 1944, in what is known as the Treachery massacre. This is the story of how France treated its black soldiers and took their lives because they demanded their rights. How it then covered it up and erased it from school curriculums, attempting to deny history and lighten the nation's conscience. Known as the tirailleurs sénégalais units, these were volunteers and conscripts from former French colonies, serving in the French Army's colonial infantry. Specifically, the soldiers were from Guinea, Mali, Senegal, Burkina Faso, Chad, Benin, Gabon, Ivory Coast, the Central African Republic, and Togo. Those who were killed had all been prisoners of war, held in Nazi Germany's camps during the Second World War. They had been subsequently freed by the Nazis and transferred to a holding facility in Thiaroye on the outskirts of the Senegalese capital, Dakar. The soldiers were upset and demanded equal pay to white soldiers, in addition to their unpaid wages and pensions, and so what was a call for justice was translated by the French as a mutiny. And on the night of November 30th, 1944, white French officers killed their black colleagues held in Thiaroye. The French admit that 35 died, but war veterans say at least 300 black African soldiers were killed. It took France 62 years to finally offer them equal pensions. In 2012, François Hollande officially recognized the incident, describing it as a bloody repression, offering the Senegalese photocopies of military archives detailing the event. However, Hollande's formal apology did not detail who killed the African soldiers and why. There is no mention of the incident in French history books, and it's definitely not taught in schools. Even a film made about the Thiaroye massacre in 1988 was banned in France for a decade. And if you tried to pay your respects and visit the military cemetery in Senegal, where the soldiers lay, you would be denied entry. The reality is, the problem is deep-rooted and reflected in France's colonial chauvinism and the bigotry of its leaders who have tried to deny history. Hollande's predecessor, Nicolas Sarkozy, had said during a visit to Senegal that the, quote, African man did not make his way into history. He also said that the problem with Africa is that it lives in the nostalgia of a paradise lost in childhood. Sorry to break it to you, little man, but blacks and Arabs outnumbered whites in the French Free Army. You know, the army that won you your freedom after your country was occupied by Nazis in World War II? Unsurprisingly, there is very little mention of the roles of former French colonies in the world wars. France also murdered, raped, pillaged, exploited, and returned skulls as part of a civilizing mission in Africa. Man said paradise lost in childhood. Funny guy. The struggle for France's elite to come to terms with its dark colonial past is ongoing. Incumbent President Emmanuel Macron recently said that his country would not apologize for its well-documented mass atrocities in Algeria. In fact, they're so insecure about their misadventures and racist history in Africa that the French Foreign Ministry last year called me out on Twitter, man like Achmet, you know, over a video detailing the French colonization of Africa. Now my question is, who runs this account? Like, I'm guessing an angry white man, innit? They were like, Monsieur, please, we did not invade Ghana, huh? We only invaded all the countries around Ghana, huh? All the rest of Africa, please. Look, France has an issue with its past, one that it must own up to, take responsibility, apologize, and compensate for. It should focus on this instead of tweeting at yours truly, man like Achman. Priorities, fam, priorities. And since we're talking about priorities, please subscribe to the channel so you can catch all the rest of French colonialism and them not apologizing for it. Thank you.
Shalom, all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'asham, Yahwashai, Ba'asham, Acha, Kwadash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone who rule well, pushing this 100% truth of the gospel, waking up and sealing the elect of the nation of Israel through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Ba'asham, Yahwashai. And salutations to all your sincere arguments that are pushing this gospel in all righteousness and in all sincerity, risking your lives and your freedom to do so. Alright, this is the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 12, and I'll start from the 10th verse. Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. Though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him. And thou shalt be unto him as if thou hast wiped a looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rust hath not been altogether wiped away. Alright, so this is another addition of to the crimes against Jacob that Esau has committed, and if you will, it is, you're using this parable that is written up in the book of Ecclesiastes, the 12th chapter. It is well exposing of Esau's rust, okay, the rust that has not altogether been wiped away, because you may hear these devils say things like it is in the past, this happened in the past, this was a dark time in their history, but it is not so, okay. Esau, Esau, these devils, they are still capable of this, okay, they're still capable of these actions that you see them performing, okay. They're still capable of this, or of these actions, basically. And this is more like a warning, okay. This a warning to you Jakes that are serving in Esau's military, okay, because you have a lot of Israelites that are currently serving in the military, thinking that if they serve Babylon, basically, that somehow, some way, that Esau will acknowledge them as their equals. So what I'm going to do is I want to open up Google and check the percentage of immigrants. So let me see if I can get that. The percentage of immigrants that are serving in the US military, just for an example. I haven't actually checked this before. Because what you have here in Nigeria, you have a lot of Jakes that travel over to Babylon, just in order to serve the military, just in order to serve in the military, right? So let me see what I can get that. Alright, so this is the article. US military accepts non-citizens to serve. Since 2001, over 120,000 military members who are immigrants became United States citizens. Immigrants serving in the United States military have deep historical roots. Non-citizens have fought in and with the US since the Revolutionary War. Okay, so let's see. Trying to look for I'm trying to look for the percentage, but it's not here. I'm not seeing anything like that. I'm not seeing the number. I'm not seeing let me try percentage. What I'm trying to look for is the percentage of immigrants serving in the US military. This just further proves that this place is just a revision of this place, right? This kingdom is just a revision of the Roman Empire, okay. That's just all this proves, because you also had other nations, alright. He had other nations, non-Romans, serving in the Roman military as well. You had the Roman military mixed with men from all nations, even Israelites serving in the Roman military. So this just shows that this place that we're living right now, this current system is just a revised Roman Empire. Right, so let me see. Okay, so this is let me use. Okay, so this is a good. This is probably. Let me use this one. Okay, how many immigrants currently serve in the U.S. Armed Forces? Between 1999 and 2010, about 80,000 immigrants joined the armed forces. About 24,000 immigrants were on active duty on 2012, and about 5,000 immigrants joined each year. In 2013, 3,862 non-citizens enlisted just in the military, 3,161, and Army Reserve 701. Okay. And this one reads, how many veterans are foreign born? As of 2016, 511,000 veterans who are immigrants live in the United States, making up approximately 3% of the total veteran population. About 82% of immigrants veterans, 417,000, are naturalized US citizens. Alright, a majority of these immigrants are actually Jake, okay, from both the northern and southern kingdom. What I want to speak about is the Thiaroye massacre, that happened. That you saw the video previously about it. Going into the soldiers that were, the West African soldiers, mainly from the French-speaking nations here in West Africa. You got places like your Senegal, your Togo, your Cote d'Ivoire, your Ivory Coast, all these various other nations that were controlled by France, during during their colonial periods, and probably and they still are anyway. But all right, these nations had to conscript or draft their men from these countries to serve in the French military in order to win, in order to fight against Germany during World War II, and in order to defend France during World War II. But what they will not talk about, okay, alright, they talk about the massacre, but they don't talk about the treatment of those soldiers, because you had so many of them that were forced to, basically they were being treated like animals, okay, forced to eat raw, they were forced to eat raw meat, forced to starve, and live in live in these kind of basically living as slaves in these diseased quarters. They're spreading diseases among themselves and still being forced to fight for these Frenchmen. You see the treatment that Esau always subjects our people to. Alright, and I'm pretty sure that I don't need to speak about the treatment of Jake, both northern and southern kingdom, in the US military during that time as well. But of course, and even up till now, you still have Jake being mistreated in the military. Alright, you can always hear the stories of Jake just appearing out of the Jake, just basically being murdered in the military without any suspects. But what we're talking about right now, we're focusing on the past. The thing is that Esau did in the past, his wickedness, which is basically basically just showing who these devils actually are. Okay, I'm not really going to go into details concerning this. Just wanted to bring this out, into the forefront. Because I've been sitting on this for a while. Before I was in the truth, I was watching documentaries about this. Okay, how they during the Second World War, France conscripted, or yeah, I think that's the word I want to use, conscripted, which so okay, I have to get the definition of that word real quick. But basically, they conscripted these French, soldiers from French-speaking nations, and here it is: one who is compulsorily enrolled often into military service, a draftee. So that's basically what the word conscript means. So they took these soldiers and they forced them to fight their wars for them, and treated them like shit even during the battles. And after they fought the battles, when these men decided that since they had fought for France, they deserved citizenship, or they at least deserved equal pay as the French soldiers, what did they do? They murdered them, man. And this is the kind of individual people have put over you as a ruler, right? Because you have so many of our people trusting in these devils, accepting them as leaders over them, even though, as the scripture says, that we should take a leader from our own people, alright? Not just any random Israelite, but a man that we know that we trust and know that we judge rightly. But this is what these devils have done. They do not, as the scripture says, they did not judge justly, okay? Because they are unrighteous judges, okay? These devils, they deal in unrighteousness. This is all that they do, okay? How do they get their power? Through unrighteous dealings, which is gotten by deceit, okay? And that's even a preset right there. Let me get that. Unrighteous dealings, which is gotten by deceit. I think it's the Apocrypha, so okay. Here it is. Ecclesiasticus 10 verse 8. Because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches gotten by God by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another. Okay, and this is exactly how these devils got their power, through rape, robbery, and murder. We always go through this, okay? And that's why they could, that's why they could forcefully take soldiers from, nations that weren't even involved in these wars in order to fight for them of because of just these unrighteous dealings, injuries, and because of the way Esau got his power through rape, robbery, and murder, and the people that have been victims the most of these actions, are the Israelites, okay, the Hebrew Israelites, that is you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, okay. And once again, this is who we have ruling over us, a devil, okay. Okay, because that's exactly what we have, because that's exactly what these people are, okay. The devil, which the word of course goes back to false accusers. So let me get the precept real quick, because these Edomites, and then they love to shed the blood of our people, and they're not even afraid, all right, because they're not even afraid of the fact that we are the children of the Most High, the Hebrew Israelites, but they still continue to do it, and they think that nobody will judge them for it. So this is the book of Ezekiel 35 verse 4, and it reads, I will lay thy cities waste, and thou shalt be desolate, and thou shalt know that I am Yahweh, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword, in the time of their calamity, and in the time that their iniquity had an end. Therefore, as I live, saith Yahweh of power, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Sith thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. Okay, and this is what these Edomites do. They slay our people. All right, they put them into death. That's why in this war you always had Jake in the front lines. They were fighting the battles for them, even though this was an Edomite war. This was Edomite against Edomite. Okay, and this is what you see going on right now, because they always get on Jake for black on black crime, Latino on Latino crime and the like. But when these Edomites commit crimes against each other, it affects the world on a global scale. It isn't just one community that is affected, the one group of people that is affected. It's everybody on the planet. When these devils go down, and they want to drag everybody down with them. All right, but then they will pretend that you Jakes are the enemy, you Jakes are the menace, you are the savages, you are the animals, you are the ones that need to be put down, that need to be controlled. When in all actuality, man, it's these devils themselves, okay? They are the they are the ones, they are the animals, they are the basemen, and we already know this, okay? Just simply reading the scriptures. So let me get another precept, right? The book of James, the 5th chapter, on the 4th verse. So this is the book of James 5 from verse 4 now. Behold, the hire of the laborers who have reaped down your fields, which is of you kept back by fraud, crieth, and the cries of them which have reaped and are entered into the ears of the Lord of Sabaoth. Ye have lived in pleasure on earth, and been wanton. Ye have nourished your hearts as in the day of slaughter. Ye have condemned and killed the just, and he doth not resist you. Alright, so let me just jump down. Let me just hold on. Let me jump up. But basically, alright, we know the reason. If you go into the video, the reason why that massacre, the Theoria massacre, happened was because the soldiers were demanding equal rights. They were demanding to be treated fairly. Okay, and Esau didn't like that, man, because these devils, okay, they don't believe that you are equal to them. They see it as an insult, basically. But we already know who they are and who we are, okay? And we know that we are more than equal, we are superior, okay? But Esau doesn't see it that way, and especially now that he's in his kingdom, man. When you Jakes, you ask for equal rights, you ask for these devils to provide you with to provide you with equality, or to give you prosperity on this side or something, or you ask for your basically all the little things that these jigs that are in the world ask for from these devils. This is what you get, okay? You get put down. You get and let me Saka. What I'm basically what I was trying to say that when you ask for the reward of your labors, basically your you ask to be paid fairly, to be treated fairly, to be given a fair wages by these devils. But you should really know the kind of people that we're dealing with, okay? Esau, Edom, the unjust ruler, the unjust judge, the unfair judge as it were. And these devils, they'll never give you your just wages, okay? That's why we are waiting for the Most High Yahweh, and the Most High through Yahweh Shai, in order to come and deliver us from this place, man. Because you know that there will never be any equality or any prosperity for our people here, okay? Because these devils are just too bloodthirsty, especially towards you Israelites, okay? Because you know what they think in their heart. The scriptures already told you what they think in their hearts. I believe that is actually that is Wisdom of Solomon, the 12th chapter, okay? Psalms, the 83rd chapter. No different precepts going into how these Edomites and the other nations as well, they want to destroy us as a people, right? As scripture says, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. That is exactly what they are after. All right. So yeah, I'm just going to leave it at that. So with that, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'asham Yahwashai, Ba'asham Rachak Wadash, Wa Abad Babal, Shalom.